Today we're going to talk about something most of us try to avoid: failure. But what if I told you there's a different way to look at it? A way that turns every single setback into, well, a kind of secret weapon for getting ahead. So let's just jump right in with a pretty provocative question. Is failure just a step forward? I mean, think about that for a second. What if every time you messed up, you weren't actually losing ground, but you were actually taking a critical step in the right direction? It kind of sounds crazy, right? But let's dig into it. To really wrap our heads around that idea, we have to talk about this number, 2,000. Just 2,000. What is that? Well, it's 2,000 moments of total, complete failure, all from one guy who was on the verge of changing, well, everything. Yeah, we're heading back to 1878. The place is Menlo Park, New Jersey, and a guy named Thomas Edison is trying to invent the light bulb. But here's the thing, we're not going to focus on that aha moment of genius. Nope, we're looking at the ugly part, the long, grinding process that came first. It was basically a war of attrition, fought one failed experiment after another. And check this out. This is just a tiny, tiny sample of the stuff Edison and his team tried to use for the filament. You know, that little wire that glows inside the bulb? They went through thousands of materials. Some of it makes sense, like platinum, but they also tried coconut fiber, fishing line, even, and I'm not making this up, hair from a red-headed man's beard. They tried everything. So imagine this. You've just tried 2,000 different things, and every single one of them has failed. Edison's assistant, well, he understandably reached his breaking point. He just said, all our work is in vain. We have learned nothing. You can just feel the exhaustion and the frustration, right? The feeling that it was all just a massive waste of time. But Edison's response, this is where everything changes. It's just a masterclass in reframing the situation. He says, we now know that there are 2,000 elements which we cannot use to make a good light bulb. See what he did there? He didn't see 2,000 failures. He saw 2,000 pieces of data. He saw an enormous amount of learning about what doesn't work, which to him was just as valuable as finding what does. So that little story perfectly sets up this powerful mental model, something we can all actually use. Let's call it the failure reframe. And the whole idea is learning how to stop seeing failure as a final verdict and start seeing it as just data. Here's the core of it, right? For most of us, when we mess up, it feels like a judgment. It's like proof that we're not smart enough or not good enough. But this idea of failure as data flips that completely. It says a mistake isn't a judgment at all. It's just a piece of information. It's totally neutral. It's just a result from your little experiment that says, okay, that didn't work. Try something else. And how do you do that? It all comes down to this one simple question. What did I just learn? That's it. That's the key that unlocks this whole way of thinking. The second something goes wrong, before that voice in your head starts telling you you're a failure, you just stop and ask, okay, what did I learn here? And just by asking that, you turn a dead end into a road sign pointing you where to go next. All right, so this all sounds good, maybe a little motivational, but there's actual science behind this. Edison's way of thinking wasn't just some quirky personality trait. It's a real cognitive strategy, and it literally changes what happens inside your brain. This comes from the incredible work of psychologist Dweck. She identified these two fundamental mindsets. You've got the fixed mindset over here, where people believe their abilities are just set in stone. For them, failure is a huge threat. It proves they're not good enough. But then you have the growth mindset. These people believe they can develop their abilities. So for them, a mistake isn't a threat. It's an opportunity to learn and get better. I mean, Edison was the ultimate growth mindset guy, right? He just knew the solution was out there, and every failure was just him crossing another dead end off the map. And get this, there's hard evidence for this. A study at Michigan State found that when someone with a growth mindset makes a mistake, their brain shows this measurable spike in activity. It's not just thinking positively. Their brain is literally lighting up, paying attention, processing the error, and figuring out how to fix it. It's like their brain stays in the game, ready for the next play, instead of just shutting down. Okay, so enough with the theory and the science. Let's make this super practical.
how can you actually do this? How do you start failing forward in your own life?
It really comes down to this simple 3-step process. See, the goal isn't just to fail more, it's to fail productively. So step 1, acknowledge it. Don't brush it under the rug or pretend it didn't happen. Just look at it. Step 2, ask the magic question, what did I learn? And then step 3, and this is important, record the data. Treat it like a scientist. Write down what happens, why you think it didn't work. When you do that, the failure stops being this painful memory and starts being a valuable asset for the future.
And hey, if you're thinking, sure, that worked for Thomas Edison, but he was a genius. Think again. Look at this number, 5,126. That's how many prototypes James Dyson, yeah, the vacuum guy, made before he finally got his bagless vacuum to work. Over 5,000 failures, and every single one taught him something. Or how about this one? 12. Seems small, right? Well, that's how many publishers rejected J.K. Rowling before someone finally took a chance on a little book called Harry Potter.
And one more for you, 30. That's how many times Stephen King's first novel, Carrie, got rejected. He actually got so discouraged, he threw the manuscript in the trash. Thankfully, his wife pulled it out, and what did he do? He nailed all 30 rejection letters to his wall, not as a sign to stop, but as fuel to keep going.
Okay, so this leads us to the final and honestly, maybe the most crucial point of all. We've talked a lot about the upside of failing, but what's the downside of not failing? What's the real danger in trying to avoid it at all costs? Because really, the true cost of being free to fail isn't that little sting of embarrassment when you get something wrong. No, it's so much bigger than that. It's the potential that just never happens. It's the light that stays dark, the book that stays unwritten, the business that never gets started. The biggest failure of all is never even trying. And that takes us right back to Edison's lab. After all that frustration, after crossing 2,000 things off his list, he finally found it, a carbonized bamboo filament. And that was the one. It burned for over 1,200 hours. It worked, and it changed everything. And that's really the whole story right there. Success isn't the opposite of failure. It's the result of failure. That world-changing light bulb was only possible because of the 1,999 attempts that didn't work. The triumph was literally built on a foundation of mistakes, and every single one was a necessary step on the path. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. What breakthrough in your own life is waiting on the other side of your willingness to fail? What's that thing that might just be one more failure away from succeeding?